heard your story, so about your mom. And so let's hear that.
Well, for my story, I talked about how when I was 10, my dad divorced her. And it really wasn't over any biblical grounds. It was his mom, my grandmother, just didn't like my mom. And I should say she hated my mom. And so she always would, she would meet when my dad was coming home from work. Grandma would be down at the driveway and step on the running board of the 1950 Chevy pickup, right? And tell him all the things that my mom didn't do. She didn't cook the meal for the kids. She's laying around all day and all this stuff. So Dad had an earful, like every day coming home, and then he'd go and chew up my mom, and anyway, so it was not a good situation. Grandma would later try to influence me to divorce Lola. My brother divorced his wife. It's like it was just grandma had issues. If you're on the good side, great, you could do nothing wrong. But if you're on the bad side, you couldn't do anything right. So anyway, so my mom was under this extreme pressure from my grandma, who lived, just feet away from her,
Ooh.
right? And so that was one of the things that when my dad moved from Santa Cruz, where I was born, he lived in an apartment thing with my grandma and grandpa owned it, and so he moved to California. My mother said we can't live around your mom, so they moved to near Sanger, California, and then grandma moves the house in later, so because they had dad borrowed money from them or something, and anyway, and as we grew up. My grandma just continually saying she's not worthy to be your mother, you're not fit to be your mother. And so we grew up with that, and we believed it, And then she had adult onset epilepsy, and there's an epilepsy that is stress induced, and so she'd have these seizures. And one day I saw her, she had a seizure and walked up to our big evaporative fan. And had the big blade on. She stuck her fingers right in the blade, which that's more than epilepsy when you do that. That's like the demoniac person throwing himself in the fire. There's a lot of things going on there. But my mom, so when Dad divorced her, she had no visitation rights, no alimony, nothing. Didn't get in California. That was very unusual because usually the wife got everything.
Right.
She would have got the place, she'd got everything. She got nothing. She got a half hour to come back to pick up her clothes, and that was it. And then she had a half hour visitation with my brother, who was 4 years older than me. I was 14 at the time. My sister was 10 at the time. She was not allowed to visit with her, to say goodbye or anything. Then she used to have no contact. What happened was, so in Germany, when I repented and gave my life to the Lord, that was the first thing he took away was my hatred for my mother, which was well developed by then, and replaced it with love. And so I wrote a letter back to my parents, or to my dad, saying, if you know Mom's address, I'd like to get in contact with her. My grandma found out about the news of that, and she turned the lights off in her house for a week.
Wow.
And threatened to disinherit me from the family and all this,
Wow.
just over wanting to get in touch with my mom. Well, and so, but during that time, I'm still in Germany. I'm not going to get out till 75, and so the Lord gave me a dream one night, and in the dream, I was sitting in a room, and it looked almost like a church or something, like that there were chairs and pews or something. And I remember looking over, and my mom had just this really good smile on her face. And then I woke up from that, and I knew from the dream, sometimes the Lord will give you a knowledge of something without words, I knew from that dream that I was going to get to see her. And so I hung on to that for a few years. And so I finally get out of the Army, 1975. Because I know where her mom and dad lived in Delhi, California, and some of her relatives over near Visalia. So I knew where to start to look for her. She had gotten remarried and had a different name, and so back in those days before the internet and all this stuff, good luck trying to find somebody if they don't forward an address at the post office, which she didn't do. And I had come back from Germany in November '74 from my sister's wedding. Had I looked then, I could have found her. But when I came back the following spring, she had moved, didn't leave an address, so couldn't find her. So her family had no idea what happened to her. I think the
And
last
she
time.
had no contact with any of you kids this whole time?
No, well, if she had tried, Grandma would have intercepted the letter and thrown it away anyway. So here I am, years later. I'm still looking for her. So this is 75, and now this is about 1982 or 83, and haven't found her. I went to her mom's funeral. Went to some of their Thanksgiving events, something like that, family stuff. Kept in touch with some of my cousins, and so here I am standing out. We're going to move to Idaho, and I was going to later on be a pastor of a church there for a while. And I'm standing out in my yard. I'm in my garden, and I can see I can still see the nice white clouds out there, and I say, well, Lord, I know you gave me that dream that I'm going to see my mom, but we're going to move to Idaho, and it's like, it's going to make it really hard to find her, but it's up to you, because I know you want us to go there, so it's in your hands. The next day.
Wow.
The next day, it's Saturday, we're going to go to town shopping or whatever, and I see this car. We live next door to my dad, by the way, and I see this car, a taxi cab going down the street. You don't see taxis out there, and so I see two little gray-haired ladies in the back seat. They're slowing down towards my dad's address. I'm thinking, well, they're looking for an address. I'm not thinking, anything, except somebody must have some money to afford a taxi out there. And so we went shopping. They came back home, and then my grandma could see us drive in from her house. She lived, right there. And I get a phone call. She says, in this really serious voice, there's been a horrible thing happen in the family. Your dad's going to come over and talk with you. So I'm thinking, okay, my brother's a truck driver. He used to do a lot of drugs and wake up in another state. Thought, well, he crashed his truck, he died. That must be it. Or I have a brother-in-law who's a truck driver. Maybe somebody had a wreck. Somebody died. It sounded like somebody died. So my dad comes over, and he has this terrible, serious look on his face, and says, your mother came by today and left you this note. I restrained myself and didn't do a happy dance right then. I waited till I got in the house. Anyway, so I took it and had her phone number on it. But he looked like somebody had threatened him.
Oh my God.
Like maybe an angel with a big sword. You do this or off of your head,
The hate.
The hate, yeah. He still hated her. He still hated my mother. And that would change later. That's another story. And so I went and had a phone. I called her. It was like 9 o'clock or something like that. So I called her and told her who I was. So we went and visited her right then. Our 4 kids and Lola. We went and visited her right then. And then we found out what happened to her. She had undergone a nervous breakdown and tried, because, yeah. And so tried to move back in with her parents. Well, I guess when she was a younger kid, she was kind of a handful. Her parents didn't want to raise her, sent her to the grandparents. And so when she tried to go live with her parents, this similar thing had happened to a sister of hers who was there now at the house. Now we don't have room for you. And so they committed her to the mental institution in Stockton, California. She underwent shock therapy. I think she said like 29 different sessions. Because the thing that troubled her so much was the memory of her children, so they took care of that for her. And then turned her loose on the street. She was a bag lady then, and she was living in I want to say Hotel California, the Hotel Fresno, or Fresno Hotel, which just happened to be blocks away from where I was working at the time. Which, small world. But I didn't know, And she said she was walking down the street one morning to go to breakfast, and this old man, white hair and a white beard, came up to her. And he said, I know you. You're my mother. And when he said that to her, her memory came back of me. She wanted to come and find me. She remembered where my dad's ranch was, and she got this friend of hers to go. They went and got this taxi cab and came on out to find me.
Wow.
That was that next day, And so then we found out the rest of, she was still It turned her into a paranoid schizophrenic. And you'd be talking with her, and she's talking with somebody else at times. It really messed her up.
Wow.
And then so we had her out to my brother's. Couldn't take it. My sister lived on the other side of my dad. Couldn't have her at either of our houses, or there'd be war, because we're all within view. And so my brother lived up probably 20 miles away, and so we brought her up so she could meet all her kids again, and she could see all the grandkids that she would ever have. There were 11 grandkids, and so she didn't know we even had any grandkids. She didn't know we were married or anything, And so we took her up there, and as we're sitting there eating and just talking about stuff, she's catching up stuff. I look over at her. That's the look she had.
Oh, from your dream. Oh my gosh. The Lord gave you that dream and He made it come true.
Made it come true, yeah.
And that woman suffered, and then she had peace with her kids.
Yeah.
What a glorious,
and I got to tell her I
glorious
love
God.
her, and yeah. And then, see, we were on our way to Idaho, so we left. That's the last time I saw her alive.
She passed after
She
that.
just within the next 2 years, she died. And yeah, so it was one shot here.
But there was forgiveness and reuniting.
Yeah, I promise you this, and here it is.
That's amazing, Dennis.
Yeah,
All that pain, and the Lord just blessed you.
yeah. Took away the hate, put love in its place.
That is only God.
And that's the thing, when we try to do things, whether turning over a new leaf or let's try a new approach to this, because it's what insanity to try the same thing over and expect a different result. But God is the only one who can actually change something.
Yes.
We try to, let's have a plan B or plan C and see how that works. I don't know, God knows, and He's got the best plan, and He can make something happen now.
Yes.
Doesn't have to wait. He can instantly change your heart.
Like that.
Just like that.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the story I can very seldom tell without tears.
I can imagine. That's a lot. There's a lot there.
Yeah.